I want to start this video off differently than I usually start my other videos. I want to start this video off with a public apology to every eldest daughter. I'm sorry that your needs, your wants were neglected. I'm sorry that you were parentified. I'm sorry that you were overlooked. I'm sorry that you weren't celebrated. I'm sorry that you weren't nurtured. I'm sorry that you were taken advantage of by your family for your emotional and your physical labor. I'm sorry. And if your mom and your dad never tell you that, if your siblings never tell you that, I want you to know, I want you to take this apology and I want you to forgive. Now, you forgive on your own time, but I want to apologize to you for every time and every moment that you felt like you were insignificant. I want to apologize to you when deep down you wanted to scream or you wanted to run away, but you were fearful because you didn't know what the consequence would be, and you also had nowhere to go. I want to apologize for every time you saw your parents have the capacity for your siblings, but they didn't have the capacity for you. I want to apologize for every time that you should have been celebrated, but they didn't, and they celebrated your siblings. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And I want to apologize for how that treatment led to every toxic and abusive relationship that you were ever in, or even the marriage that you may be in right now. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that you had to show up being hyper independent. I'm so sorry for the depression and the anxiety. I'm so sorry for the numbness that you may feel. I'm so sorry. If you're new here, welcome to Heal the New Sexy, where we discuss all things healing, self-love, and relationships. My name is Cynthia. I'm a licensed therapist and coach, and I want to talk about why the eldest daughter is often neglected. Whew, that was hard, y'all. That was hard. Let me get myself together because that was hard. The eldest daughter is different than the firstborn. You ever met a young lady who was the firstborn and you notice that she is nurtured by her parents? Her parents love her, they adore her, they dote on her. You know, she probably got what they talk about on TikTok, one of them bald-headed daddies, right? You know, she can go to her parents and what she asks for, they provide. But the difference between the eldest daughter is that the eldest daughter is parentified. She's seen as responsible. She's made to be hyper independent. She is made to feel that her needs are not important, but the needs of her siblings are important. She's often silenced. Her family looks at her only for her labor, her emotional labor, and for her physical labor. But they don't see her as a human being. See the firstborn, which is different than the eldest daughter. The firstborn is just worthy because her parents just love her, they adore her, they dote on her. The eldest is given a level of burden called responsibility. And she's made to go to school, and she's made to take care of her siblings. She's made to take care of the home. And the standard is different between her and her siblings. And there also can be some resentment there between her and her siblings because she was parentified even though she didn't want to. She didn't want the responsibility to take care of a house and a home and to be a part of the parenting team. She didn't want that. That was given to her. And so her siblings resent her because of how she had to show up. But she resents her siblings because they had a childhood and she didn't. She resents her siblings because her parents showed up for them in a way that they didn't show up for her. I also want to talk about why it's on the top of my mind, how this leads to her engaging in relationships where her needs are neglected. So she engages in relationships with emotionally unavailable partners because her parents were the first people in her life that were emotionally unavailable. This young lady, you probably watching this, or the eldest daughter, right? You're seen as an adult in the home. You may have been 5, 6. I've worked with young ladies who started taking care of their siblings at the age of 5, feeling like they had to watch out and look out for their siblings. And then they were praised for it. No adult came to them and said, no, baby doll, that's not your role. It's my role as the adult to take care of these children. But because of the situation, maybe they had to move from house to house. Maybe it wasn't your parents, but you moved from family member to family member. You were in foster care and then you were parentified and you had to take care of your younger siblings. So you're cooking, you're cleaning, you're even working a part-time job. You're helping to pay bills. I see videos on TikTok of parents like, oh, you need to pay the rent, or you need to pay this, or you need to pay that. You're forced to do that. Sometimes you're forced to do that because you have an irresponsible and emotionally immature mother or father. So they're out living their best life. Meanwhile, you're raising their children. All right. You are seen as an adult when you're made to cook, clean, and pay bills. But when you decide to advocate for yourself and talk about how things are unfair, then you're met with harsh punishment. Then it's questioned like, girl, who are you talking to? You think you're grown? Meanwhile, you're made to do adult things. You're made to make adult decisions. You're treated as an adult as it relates to your physical, emotional labor. But when you express how you feel, you're silenced. And you're taught that your voice doesn't matter. And you're taught you better watch your mouth. Because if you don't, there'll be a consequence. You're taught that you shouldn't challenge your parents, even if they are exhibiting poor behavior, even when the behavior that they're exhibiting has been damaging to you. And I had a coaching session not too long ago with a young lady, and this was going on. This doesn't stop when you turn 18. This continues because you have to research, and I encourage you to research family dynamics. See, the eldest daughter plays a role in dysfunction. Now, this dysfunction was created for her. But until you make the decision that it ends here, you continue to play a role in that family dynamic and dysfunction. You continue to. In order to heal, you're going to have to put some boundaries in place. You can't be the one that your parents run to with the issue or your siblings run to with the issue because you're responsible. No, you can no longer carry the burden of your family if you want to heal. You're going to have to make a decision that everybody's an adult and they need to take care of themselves, and you need to pour that energy into yourself. And that's something I shared with her. I said, listen, you're going to have to pick your heart. The heart of things staying the same, or the heart of you putting boundaries in place and being okay that they are not going to be okay with your boundaries. They are going to push back. But you got to maintain that boundary. The dynamic doesn't change just because you get older. If you, let's say maybe you're 17, you're a young lady watching this. I think the best thing you can do is to move away from your family in order to heal. Now, it may be hard. If you're going to college, you have a scholarship, you have an opportunity to go somewhere out of state, I would encourage you to do so. I would encourage you to do so. Because if not, this can continue until 40s, 50s, 60s. I'm working with women who are older, and this dynamic is still going on. Why? Because you got to put boundaries in place in order to heal. One thing about the eldest daughter, especially in her teen years, her rebellion is often misunderstood. I used to do therapy. Now I only work with adults, but I used to do therapy with children. And parents would bring their children in. Oh, I don't know why they act the way they do. I don't know why they do it because of you. The Bible says you should know them by their fruit. Children are fruit. Your child act like this because of you. Please don't get offended with me. Please don't get offended with me. Right? So I would see kids. I would ask them what's going on. See, my mom always hangs out all night and her boyfriend comes. They would tell me all kind of things. Not creating an environment for that child to flourish. See, the eldest daughter's rebellion is often misunderstood. The eldest daughter, when she starts getting into she just boy crazy. No, she's not boy crazy. She's looking for love. Because it's not there in the house. So many of you may have had these relationships, and let's be honest about it. You may have had relationships where you're a teen and he's in his 20s. Why? Because you're looking for love. Because when you are neglected in your childhood, you're going to start looking for love, like the song says, in all the wrong places. So then you're accused of being fast. When no, you're just looking for love because the people who brought you in the world that were supposed to love you, they're not loving you, they're neglecting you. And then they make you take care of other people. They steal your childhood from you and make you take care of others. And then when you rebel or you push back, they don't understand. Girl, she just fast. She just fast. You better not get pregnant either. You better not bring no baby home. Versus trying to figure out, why does this girl want to spend more time out of the house than she does at home? Why is home not a haven for my child? Why is she exploding and becoming aggressive? Or why is she depressed? Why is she anxious? Why is she isolating in her room for hours at a time and doesn't come out only to eat? Why is that? Why doesn't she have a close relationship with her siblings? It does, to me as a therapist, it would boggle my mind. Like, your child is showing up this way because of the things that's going on in the home. When the eldest daughter rebels, when she pushes back, it's met with, oh, I don't understand. Oh, I don't know. It's you. It's your poor parenting. Or it was your parents' poor parenting. And you know that. I'm preaching to the choir right now. That's why you're watching this video. You're like, Samithia, you're absolutely right. I was doing all of that. I was looking for love. I was trying to be accepted. I was engaging in people pleasing. I got caught up in the wrong crowd, all because my mom and my dad didn't have time for me, but they had time for their siblings, for my siblings. My mom and my dad would make me do this and make me do that. And meanwhile, my siblings didn't have to do the same thing. Life was different for me than it was for my siblings. And when I got to a certain age and I got tired of it, I was fed up, I didn't know what to do. I just stopped doing it. I stopped going to school. My grades dropped. I got into this. I got into that. And then they still didn't get it. Because one thing about children may not always be able to communicate, but their behavior does. And you know that. Okay? The oldest daughter, and then because of a childhood like this, she then begins to engage in self-neglect. So what areas of your life have you neglected yourself? Where you haven't taken care of yourself because you were taught that you weren't worthy of care and nurturance? How is that impacting you today? And also, I want you to write in the comments how it's impacting you, but I also want you to write in the comments how you plan to address it. No more self-neglect. After this, no more self-neglect. No more emotional eating. No more maladaptive coping skills because of what happened. Now it's time for you to move from self-neglect to being empowered. You got to be empowered that your present and your future does not have to be impacted by your past. You now have the ability to show up for yourself in ways that they refuse to. Because this neglect isn't like, it's like, oh, I didn't know. No, this neglect was intentional. It was intentional. And sometimes, especially as Black folks, right? We don't talk evil about our parents. So the Bible says, what does it say? Honor your mother and father. But the other verse says, provoke not your children to wrath. And so even the church sometimes plays a role in the eldest daughter or the neglect of children. I remember moving from, and there's so many scriptures in the Bible, but I remember we were moving from one place to another in Germany, and I got a plaque from the church, and it had that verse on there, like, honor your mother and father. And I thought to myself, I've been wise for a long time. I thought to myself, there is no other verse in there that they could have put. I don't even know where that plaque is. I threw that plaque in the back of the closet. I didn't want that. I did not want that. What about how to treat a children, how children are arrows and those type of things? What about that? I didn't. When I tell you I got home and I put that plaque in the back. I didn't want that. No, because the dynamics in which I was growing up in, my needs weren't being met. I was being neglected. No. So the eldest daughter, as an adult, she engages in self-neglect, and then she, looking for love, looking for acceptance, looking for affirmation. She starts dating. She may even get married to a man who's emotionally unavailable. And the cycle repeats itself all over again. That's why we have women who are talking about, I was working and I was married and I was doing everything and he wasn't doing anything. Why? Because you were taught early on that you had to perform for love versus just being loved. And so now, even in your dating, you show up and you're performing, and you're meeting men that are sitting back, just receiving, and you keep giving and giving and giving, and you're trying to figure out, why am I exhausted? You're exhausted because love should not be like that. But that's what you were taught early on. So in order to address this, you have to go back and you have to give yourself the things that were not given. You got to affirm yourself. You got to validate yourself. You have to put boundaries in place around how you date. You have to put boundaries in place with your family, what you're willing to give, what you're not willing to give. And you have to be okay with them being upset that you're showing up differently. Because this was a role given to you. It's not a role you have to stay in. You don't have to stay in the eldest daughter's role. You don't have to continue to accept neglect from your family. You don't have to continue to be hyper independent, believing that nobody is going to come to help you because that's what you were taught in your childhood. You don't have to stay there. But you got to make the decision to do the work. And if you need help, you can click the link in the description. You can schedule a coaching call with me, and I would love to work with you to move from self-neglect to being empowered, because your wants, your needs, your dreams, your desires are important. You were created for a specific purpose. You were. And it's not just to overgive to your family. Really, I think it was Elania, and I can't call the quote, but she said something like, when you give to people what you don't have, you allow them to steal from you. And many of us were raised to allow people to steal from us and to take from us, even when we didn't have it. We were raised to put other people's needs before our own. And I want to tell you that stops today. Don't put nobody else's needs before yours. Pour into yourself first. And pour into yourself only if you don't want to pour into nobody else. Okay? Take care of you. So there's some unlearning you're going to have to do, because you are important. Your voice is important. Your needs are important. All right? I love you so much. This is Heal the New Sexy. My name is Samithia.